Well, today's flight, I thought I would go over a little bit past the Valley of the Colorful Rocks, east of Overton, about 30 or 40 miles. And in the Grand Wash area, there's some kind of unique land formations. And of course, here we're taking off yet again, and we'll get a look at Food Flight's plant. And I've shortened it down to under 25 minutes, so at least this is a little bit shorter. Once we get past the Valley of the Colorful Rocks, a little bit to the north and behind the Virgin Mountains, there is, first of all, what's listed on the map as a ranch. And I don't know if they're actually raising cattle anymore, but there are a few buildings, and there looks like a water hole and a water tank and so on. So, and it looks like people may be living there, although it's pretty far out of the way. And then beyond that, there is what looks like an abandoned ranch airstrip. And it's in pretty good condition. I didn't land on it, but I made a little approach. So here we're heading towards the Virgin Mountains, Valley of the Colorful Rocks, and we're about to cross over the Overton Mesa naturally. And this is sort of the usual path to the east. The Valley of the Colorful Rocks is in a low spot on the mountains, so anytime we're going east, like to the Grand Canyon, we tend to go over that area. This Lake Mead, of course, is on the right edge of the screen, and this is the Virgin River going into Lake Mead. And this is only a few miles south of the Moab Valley, or this is actually part of the Moab Valley. It's a few miles south of Overton. And there is, of course, more green than usual down by the river. Because of all the rain. We're looking right towards the Valley of the Colorful Rocks. The Virgin Mountains are on the upper left corner. Lake Mead is off to the right now. And I think what we're just flying over are the Black Hills. Here we've gone a little further, and this is the Valley of the Colorful Rocks yet again. I don't think I took too long a shot on this. I left most of it out. You'll notice the waviness in the camera. Once again, I'm getting vibration, and usually it looks like at the higher air speeds. During the climb and takeoff, it was steadier because the airspeed is lower. I think the air is vibrating the camera. I'll work on that when I get back to Wisconsin. And now off on the left side will be the Virgin Mountains, and then the ones we're seeing now are actually some smaller foothills. We'll cross right over those in order to get a look at the ranch or that little settlement behind the Virgin Mountains. And right toward those foothills to the upper left are what we'll be flying over very shortly. A little behind them, to the left, will be that ranch. Oh, here I think I'm making a turn just for sightseeing purposes. Heading right now towards the Virgin Mountains. be seeing Moapa Valley, Overton, hopefully, as we make the turn. And then on the left side, we should see Lake Mead coming into view. Or at least one arm of Lake Mead. There it is. And once we have Lake Mead in the middle, we're getting into the Gold Butte area coming in from the left. And Crazy Head's airstrip, mine, and so on, it's all sort of due south. Now on the left side, we can see the foothills, which will jump ahead, I think, and we'll fly right over those, actually over one of the valleys there, in order to get a look at that ranch. There, now these are the little foothills, and we're going to cross over them. The winds aloft were pretty calm today, and these are low mountains. They're only about 4,000 feet above sea level or less, so in high winds this could be trickier, but it wasn't too bad for turbulence, and the winds weren't such that there would be updrafts or downdrafts. Now beyond these foothills, what we're looking at is the Grand Wash, and way beyond that Grand Wash level part will be the Grand Wash Cliffs, which we've flown over on the way to the Grand Canyon. Virgin Mountains are off on the left side. And I'm still looking to see some wildlife down there, and I haven't seen it yet, except for those wild horses, which the camera didn't record because the batteries were used up by the time I saw them, flew over them. Now straight ahead, top center, you'll see the little green area with a few roads, and that is labeled a ranch on the maps. And it does look like some vehicles and some houses and some few people possibly living there. Also, the green areas show that they may be watering something. There is some water available. It looks like a water hole sort of in the center of the screen. I can see some greenish trees, so it could be a spring or a water hole or something. Looks like they were irrigating down in that green area with center pivot sprayers, maybe. Now we're looking off towards the Grand Wash, and this is the topology is a little bit different. When you get down a little lower like we are, it's interesting type landscape. Not entirely flat, but kind of broad hills and bumps. Oh, here I saw some more colorful rocks, so I decided to fly over towards them. Again, we have roads and trails throughout this area. I think it's almost all Bureau of Land Management, or BLM land. Yeah, it looks like possibly the remains of a ranch or a cattle operation kind of in the middle there, where the roads kind of meet. And very likely there's a water hole there. Usually where there's a water hole, somebody is trying to ranch or doing something. There are springs scattered throughout the area, if you know where to find them, I guess. Now, I'm flying across this area. This is an interesting landscape. Trails all over, it looks like, in the washes. And I'm heading toward east yet, and I'm heading for that abandoned airport, which the map, the aviation map, lists it with a U, which means unknown. So it doesn't have any information about the airstrip, but it used to be an airstrip. This I thought was kind of interesting. There is a valley there. There's a wash, and it looks like some greenish stuff. There may be water holes or springs somewhere along there. Yes, it looks like a water hole in the lower left, maybe. Or maybe just a small spring. Okay, right near the top center, you can see going at a little bit of a diagonal crossways is the little lighter airstrip. And at the left end of it, which is the north end, there are some buildings and so on. This could have been a cattle ranch, or I don't know, maybe even an oil well operation, but I think it's more likely it was a cattle ranch. There's a little more turbulence as we get down lower, and I'll make a low pass over the runway, and it'll be bumpy, but fortunately I've slowed the airspeed down, so there's a little less waviness from vibration. Looks like a water tank along the side of the runway on a little extension from the buildings. And if you look a little bit past the airstrip along one of the roads, I think there's a dust trail by someone on an ATV or a Jeep. They're kicking up, leaving a trail of dust. We'll make a turn here. We'll get a better look on the way after we make the turn. Again, I thought this landscape was kind of unusual. I haven't seen anything quite like this. And there is a lot of green, which is probably very unusual due to all the rain. Now we're actually making a turn to the left and doing that. We're looking north. And that ranch is just off the lower left corner. And I think in the background will be the Overton Mountains right now. Off the left side would be that airstrip, which we're going to make a pass from the south to the north on it. Getting a little bumpier as we get down. We're actually heading southwest right now, and we're making a turn now, getting still lower. Now we're heading about south. There is the runway. It looks like it's in pretty good condition, so somebody must have been clearing it off or keeping the brush down on it, at least fairly lately. And here I decided, well, I'm going to have to actually raise up a bit in order to get a better view of the buildings, so I went up to 100 or so feet. That looks like the water tank on the left. More water tanks probably, and those cement pads on the left side might be either helicopter landing pads, maybe tie-down places for an airplane. I'm not really sure. And here, we'll look on the trails. I think we can actually see those ATVs and the upper trail there, upper right. Yeah, there's the dust trail, and you can see some little black speck there going on the trail. With a Jeep or an ATV type vehicle, two of them actually, one behind the other and quite a distance behind because of all the dust. That seems to be a standard feature in this part of Nevada. dust all over. Now we're going to try and head south for a while, because there is another airport, an abandoned ranch called the Tassie Airport, Tassie Ranch. And I thought I could find it. It isn't on the aeronautical map that I could see with the GPS, but unfortunately, having flown south a ways, I couldn't find it. They're very deteriorated and hard to find. Someday I'll try and find it again. Meanwhile, we're looking south towards Lake Mead behind the Gold Butte Mountains. And if I'm not mistaken, off to the left or right will be the Valley of the Colorful Rocks, but this is part of the wash that's east of the Colorful Rocks. Again, I thought this was interesting formations. But we are cruising, going into a headwind, and so I had the power up a little bit, the airspeed up a little, and we're getting more vibration in the camera. I think near the top center is where the Valley of the Colorful Rocks is, although I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I think that's about where it is. Lake Mead would be off in the upper left corner, Virgin Mountains in the upper right corner. And again, the lower left corner looks like a spring or some vegetation. Could be a spring or a water hole down there. Lots of trails seem to be going to and from it, so that's another clue that there may be water there. In the upper, well, the Virgin Mountains are the upper right corner, and just a little bit towards the center from the Virgin Mountains are those foothills that we flew over to see the ranch. And coming up near the center of the screen is a colorful patch that's east of the Colorful Rocks, and I actually went to the north side of that because I was taking some still pictures of it out the side window on the left side of the airplane. So I didn't actually fly directly over it because I wanted to try for some still pictures. Okay, once again we've crossed over that area and we're heading towards the Valley of the Colorful Rocks. We see Lake Mead on the left side there. And Moap Valley is towards a little, well, it's just about straight ahead of ways. Muddy mountains in the distance there, barely can see them on the other side of Lake Mead. And I'm making a turn. I must have seen something interesting. I guess it was the valley through the rocks. That's the those are the Gold Butte Mountains, and that's heading towards Crazy Ed's mine and airstrip. Now we see the Black Hills on the upper right, And of course the colorful rocks yet again. Near the bottom center, there's a little road going to a dark spot. That's the bottomless pit, which actually shows up in some other videos. It's fenced off, so it must be pretty deep. I don't know if it has water in the bottom or not, but it's a remarkably circular hole, and it kind of straight down. Could be like a sinkhole that's coming up at the bottom edge of the screen right now. I don't think I got it on the film, but right near the where the Virgin River goes into Lake Mead, I noticed there were some bright white areas, large patches of white, and I wondered what they were. I didn't get it on the camera, but when I flew over, they were large. It was a very large flock of white birds, large white birds. It could have been snow geese or something else, but there were so many of them that looked like a patch on the water, a huge patch. Yes, this looks like the Valley of the Colorful Rocks. Anamwapa Valley is that green streak going across from Lake Mead towards the upper right. Muddy Mountains are behind there. Black Hills on the right side of the screen. And we're heading towards the Overton Airport once again. I think mercifully the end of the tape is coming up shortly. A couple more minutes. And you can probably start seeing Overton Mesa, the flat area before the airport, and before that would be the Virgin River. And that sounds like a telephone call. I will call them back. I'm sorry about that. I'm in the office recording the voiceover, and I've only got a couple minutes left, and I don't want to do it again. I need a sound studio, soundproof.